Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fish Easy on a Friday night. We are taking a look right here at some young tiger barbs. These are tiger barbs that, as you know, if you've been watching the stream for some time, they were just put together a few weeks ago. And we even were showing some of them, I think, at the time of my last live stream. It's been a few weeks, but we have a lot of things in store for tonight. If you're watching on the replay crew, please be sure to leave a comment below down in the comment section saying that you're on the replay crew so we know you're still interested. We know everybody is busy and it's Friday night and that there's no exception. But here we have some nice things to look at tonight. This particular set of tiger barbs we put together as part of the um, breeding project. And I've learned a few things I'm going to share tonight about the breeding possibilities of egg scatterers, especially ones that are a little more difficult. Hello, Bill. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is a good first in a long while. And Steve Michaels, welcome. So in tonight's episode, we're going to talk about some very special tiger barbs. Something that just popped up into my fish room recently that you're going to be a little surprised. I found out some history today. I had to go back to the store and get some. If you're curious about that fish in front of there's a couple of fish right there in front of next to the left of that sponge filter. And what that is a few German blue rams I had. They were kind of like spare German blue rams, so I took them and I put them in with the same tank with the young tiger barbs, and this is what came out. They started growing up together and they're doing just fine together. So they seem to be very compatible and they're growing about the same rate so far. Those are German blues. So here's my setup for 5.5 gallons. Steve Marvin, thank you for joining tonight. Thank you for taking time out on your Friday night. But I want to talk about something I learned about how to use these, and it's actually not that far off from the way I've been doing it, but I learned something in a video I watched this week. Let me also show you a new apparatus. It's called a tripod. I don't know how it's going to work tonight, but let's give it a try. So I'm going to put let's see if I can get it in here without stopping the stream. Whoop, did I stop the stream? Okay, sorry about that. It's a little difficult with this particular phone because there's buttons everywhere. I'm always pushing the wrong button. Let's see if I can get it in here. Okay, not too well. Let's see. Since it's a new apparatus, it's always fun to try something new, right? Okay, that's... I don't know if that's going to work or not. Okay, so it's kind of... Let's see, then I got to position it, right? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. There's the 90 gallon with some growing discus. These discus here are what we've got are some... how are your discus, by the way, Bill? I know you have some of these turquoise. And I've also got a few from a different line in there. And they're doing quite well. I also have some Macropinus cichlids. These are Therictis Macropinus spot cheek cichlids, and there's about a dozen in there also, and they tend to stick to their own. Hi, Aqua Malik. Welcome to the live stream tonight. So let's see if we can get this camera going, turned around, and see what it looks like. It's on the tripod. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I've got some interesting things to talk about tonight, and we're going to give it a whirl. Let's see. Trying out the new tripod, so if you see a little unsteadiness, please forgive me. And what I was able to do this week is there's just been so much going on. I'm sorry I haven't been live in a while, so we got a little catch up to do. One of the things that I have been focusing on is doing some rethinking on the breeding, some of the breeding projects. and what we have going on here and behind me. So I do want to show that. I don't know if this tripod can actually get up to the high tank up here. Let's see. I did want to show off what's going on up here. This is a tank where we have a bunch of black rams. There's some angelfish in there, and there is a bunch of green tiger barbs zipping around. And those are the ones we bred, the green tiger barbs. And so we ended up with a few. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get as many as I was really shooting for. Okay, bear with me while I'm adjusting. Let's take a look. Maybe I can just carry this around and show you. Maybe it's the best way to do it. These are German blues, and I think they are getting to a size where they're ready to go to the grow out center. So Aqua Malik, you may as well start thinking about where these were going to go. They're looking good. We also have brought in something new. Joe Costa. Discus are doing great. So you got those discus also. That's great, Joe. I'm glad to hear that they're doing okay. These are new to my fish room. They're from Mr. Malik himself. And there's a number of red lizard plecos. So let's start with the first success in the fish room. I think it's nice to just start at one end and go to the around the room and just kind of show what's going on. As you can see here, I don't know if this is totally accurate. Doesn't seem right, does it? 74. That seems awfully. I think the room itself is, according to the room, it's 79. So there's the values right there. We're in the comfort zone and we're at 79. So I kind of find that hard to believe that this is 70, 74. These are not so accurate, and I know they're not that great, but we'll get out the test measurements and find out. But what I want to show is first, as you know, I have over here in my nursery section. This is the nursery section, and in the top tank we've got some angels. These are angel fish fry. They're on the baby brine shrimp, and they're doing very well. Yes, Joe, I hope you are able to share us your question. I would love to be able to answer some questions. I think the tripod is good for when it's standing still. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Whoa. Did it? Okay. Sorry about that. I keep pushing the wrong button. Okay. Alright. Hey, Red Laser. Welcome. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you we're having an interesting set of occurrences in this past week. And we're looking now at a red lizard trapping, and there are quite a few eggs in this trapping. We're doing very well. See if I can focus it all. I'm going to take a flashlight because it seems to be the best way. There you go. See the eggs? There's so many that they're almost coming out of the tube. There they are. Dad is taking care of them. He's doing a great job. But we've had some issues. Now these were hatched laid this week. So I'm expecting them to come out maybe the 14th of this month. So it's going to be a while. They're not. Let me see if I can get a better shot. Just looking at, yeah, it's a lot of eggs. I don't know how many we're going to get, but this is amazing because these fish have been breeding constantly. I did do some changes to this tank, and one of the things I changed was that the last two spawns, they had fry and they disappeared. They totally disappeared. So why would they disappear? The answer, I think, lies in the fact that the parents, the females that were finished spawning with the male, were left in the tank. And as they would come out, I think that they were getting hunted down by the females and being devoured, because in the past I had always taken the females out for fear they might get hurt when they tried to spawn again with the male, and the male being in there with eggs. So I never had other red lizard plecos in the same tank with the babies. I always had great success that way. Now they disappear with the adults in there. So in this experiment, as soon as I got this big spawn, I've taken out the females, removed them completely from the tank, and now we're going to see if there's a better success rate for those fry. I'm going to go back to what I was practicing last year, because we had some good success raising a lot of red lizards. So we'll see. I've also got some dither fish in here. These are more grow outs of the Aluminatus pseudomobile, blue-eyed. You can see they're beautiful blue eyes. They're amazing. I'm going to put a mop in there. Maybe this weekend we're going to get mops in all the tanks where there's rainbow fish. I think that's just a necessity. Let's see, Joe's question. Joe has asked a question here, and let's see if I can see. I just resealed a 75-gallon tank, and it has water in it for almost 2 weeks, but noticed air bubbles on a certain area of the bottom of the tank. The rest is perfect. I have resealed tanks before. Question, are you asking how to get rid of those air bubbles, or are those bubbles at the bottom of the tank? Or are you talking about in the seal of the bottom? Because it just depends on how big those bubbles are, right? If they're very, very large, they could cause an issue with the seal. It's in the seal of the bottom. Well, since you just resealed the tank, in order to redo it, in my opinion, in this, I don't know how others feel, they might have a different opinion, but in my opinion, it would seem logical to go ahead and try to use the tank and watch for any leaks over the period of the future months. If there are none, then the bubbles aren't affecting the seal. They might affect the seal in the long run, because there might be times when eventually it will break down and the air bubbles might become divots in your seals. But to fix that problem, I think the best or only way is to reseal it completely by removing all of the sealant that you have. Now, maybe somebody else has a different opinion, but my understanding is it's very difficult to make watertight, solid connections when you just, like, say, cut a piece and try to fill it in. It doesn't work, because the new sealant doesn't really adhere itself to the old or dried sealant very well. So that's my take. I would say, as long as it's working okay. And Sandy, welcome. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. Now, in looking at the upper tank, I wanted, before I leave, I wanted to show off the new, this is the new lids I am experimenting with. I'm taking plastic. I don't know if you know what this kind of a lid is. It comes from these containers that you get when you buy salad. And so you buy fresh greens, and it's organic. This one was baby spinach. It's from a few years ago. And it comes with lids. Now, what's interesting about the lids is that the lids themselves have a ridge. So as you can see, when you take off the top, they have this ridge. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see the best way to get you to see it. Yeah, there we go. So there you have it. There's a ridge in it, and what I'm trying to do is, I have a rimless tank, so what I did was cut this off. I just cut it right through here, straight. So I just cut this whole left section off. So I like cut it right down here, zip, and made two pieces, and then I just set it on top. Because what was happening was I had a piece of glass or plastic just from the top, and what was no good about that is the water would, as you can see, hit the top, go up, and then go to the edge, and then over the side, and then create a real mess. And it was starting to do that. You can see where the water damage was starting to occur, and believe it or not, it was actually my wife who was trying to just cover the tank for me, and she didn't realize that water was going to do that. But so I came up with this idea. It's a simple flap, but what's interesting is it's not moving, because you see the back side, that lip goes right into the piece of glass. So this is a case of being able to put a piece of plastic across. Now I also noticed this one, it's a different brand, and I did the same thing. But as you can see, this lid here is just cut. I just cut the ends off, and with the idea that I'm using the sides with the edge. So I'm going to put that on there on the back. It just sits in place, and then it just kind of folds. But this is a thinner plastic, so I noticed it bows way too much. This one's thicker plastic. So depending on when you buy this stuff, you're looking for the heavier duty plastic. It won't bow so much. And then I just set it across, and it really helps keep the water inside from splashing. So in this case, the bubbles come up, but this one's bowing so much it's going right into the water, so the surface area is being affected. So this isn't actually a permanent solution, or the best solution in this case, from this lid. But this lid, yeah, it's not touching, and it's been working, and when water gets too much, it drips back down and keeps it from overflowing into the back, out the back. So you can see what would happen if I kind of bowed it up, put this on both sides. No, that doesn't work. It's not the right width. So this just happens to be a very thin, or shall we say shallow, or not very deep tank. It's only a hand breadth away. Yeah, so yeah, it depends, Sandy, on the size of your tank and all, but this was just a quick fix. I thought I'd share that little trick with you because I thought it was kind of nifty. Also, the Luminatus have a tendency to jump, and I've lost many of them on the floor. Not little ones like this, but when they get to be adults, the females many times jump. Maybe they're trying to get away from males. I'm not sure. That's what happens. So I'm going to work with that and see what I can do and develop something even better. Here's a quick shot of the baby fry we had from the Blake's Aquatics egg trap. And as you can see, with the exception of the Furcatus in here, another rainbow fish, we have the Danios. Those are glow light Danios. And these glow light Danios they're really looking sharp. I love them. And to grow, I now have more than I started with because I'm raising enough here to replace any that may have died since I got these glow light Danios. But they're pretty neat. And when they're smaller, a little younger, they're super orange. Shady Grady, welcome. We're showing off the new babies here that we've been raising, and they're doing quite well. Up above, these tanks have not been set up. I keep promising I'm going to do it, and that's the way it is around here. You keep promising, it never seems to happen. In the nursery, we also have a batch of German blue rams, and we have a batch of angelfish. These angels, looks like some of them aren't making it. Let me see. Maybe it's time I need to put them into another container. I could let's increase the air a little bit. Let's see if we can get some more, but there's quite a few in here. They immediately went, there we go, get a better shot of them. They really went right into baby brine shrimp. It's so easy to raise angelfish. They don't they don't require really special care. Now, in the case of the German blues, these are not on baby brine shrimp yet, but what they are on is vinegar eels. So a couple days of vinegar eels before I start the baby brine shrimp. Now, I did get a question. No black rams, Aqua Malik, sorry, I've checked, or maybe we should look tonight before, maybe I didn't look yet since coming home, so we'll take a look at those tanks in a minute, see if there's any eggs. Here we have fry at the top. So what happens is they come, when they first hatch, they sit in the bottom for about 3 days, and then they sometimes go up to the top for about 3 days, and then after that they become more free swimming. So when they're at the top, I usually use baby brine, not baby brine, but maybe tiny traces of baby brine shrimp to kind of get them used to the idea of the little baby brine jumping around. But I have to use vinegar eels for the first few days just to give them an easy start, and the vinegar eels have to wiggle up to the top to get air, and so that's where they're at, and I think that's the best food for fish that are going to the top. Now, one of my subscribers mentioned that they get vinegar, they get the German blues to go to the top, and then they die. Now, I have had that happen before, where they all die off even at the top, and I'm not sure why. Sometimes it could be the water parameters, but if you notice these are, I think, not going to die off because they're not like caught in the corners from what we call adhesion. The water kind of adheses to the side and rolls up, and the fry like to sit in the corner of the water where the adhesion is occurring. So my experience has been that if the agitation with the bubbles kind of keeps them from doing that, they're a little better off. That's just my observations. So also here we have another batch of angels that have just hatched, and if you're curious and say, well, that's not a very big batch, that's what's left after the rest have all fallen down. Let me look down to the bottom and see if we can spot any. I'm not sure if the camera can pick them up. Yeah, but there should be oodles of them. We had a very good batch. This batch in particular, there we go. There we go, that's a little better. Those are angels that have just come off the bar. And let's see, these are from Fishroom 1, left side, top rack, 4th tank. So if you know, Malik, which these are, please tell us. Are these platinums or are these silvers? Maybe you can tell me what's in room 1, the left hand side, top rack, fourth one down. So these will come off. Tonight what I could do is I can actually blow those off of the thing and then just take out the tile. I usually do that. And then when the fish are still at the bottom before they become free swimming, I can actually suck them up very, very easily into a breeder box. And I think that's the better deal, is put them in a breeder box. So coming right around, our discus in here are looking quite nice. They're just watching me. I think they're quite used to being fed now. See, they're coming up to the top. There is a few that haven't quite mastered the idea of, when it's time to eat, you got to gobble up the food. These little guys are the most amazing cichlids. So beautiful when they get to be adults, and they get more and more beautiful as they go. Very nice, huh? Those are the Maclepinis, and we do have some available. for sale still, and if you want some, let us know. They're definitely a more rare fish. These came from New Brunswick and not from a local fish store. They came from New Brunswick, so. And of course, we've already looked at these guys. A little messy. And here's the black rams. Okay, do we have any eggs? I saw black rams today at Fanatics. They had some in from Israel, the jumbos. I mean, these are humongous. I have no idea how they get them so big. If they don't use hormones, I would be surprised. Very surprised. They're tremendously big. And over here, I'm looking for a pair we could put in a breeding box or a breeding tank. Keeping my eyes open. There's a couple of females in here that are about ready. So as soon as I see a female that's kind of like, hey, Mr. Black Ram, come on over here. And as soon as I see him go off in the corner, I try to snag him and pull him out. And then they get moved over to the other part of the fish room up here where we have multiple tanks. Now, I want to jump over there because there's some interesting things. Malik has asked if there's any black rams. I do have the German blue pair that I brought home recently, and still no eggs, I don't think. No, nothing yet. There, you would know they have eggs if the male's in the back corner and he doesn't come up to the front. He will guard those eggs. And here are some new acquisitions, everyone. I don't know if Mr. Chris Stubbs is watching, but I did pick up a couple of young red ruby barbs because these seem to be possible females. I needed some females to go with my males. But I'd like to ask a question. Does anybody see a green tiger barb in here that's not like the others? These are green platinums, but there's one in particular that's not like the others. If you're wondering which one that is, let me see if I can hone in on it. There it is. This heater's in the way. Let's move it aside. There. Look at that green tiger barb. Have you ever seen a green tiger barb that looks like it's glowing? Now that is a green tiger barb. So when I saw this green tiger barb in with my platinums, I said, what on earth? I had just picked these up from a local fish store. And so I went back to the fish store today and I said, what is with the green tiger barb you sold me? And I showed him the picture and he's like, We went through the tank that he had of the remaining ones and did not find a single one that's like this one. But look how green, he's like bright green. This is not like the dark green of look at that fish. I don't know if I can focus, but maybe try to hold the phone more still. There we go. Can you see that bright green tiger barb? It's like a green with, to me it looks like it's got a green light going on from the inside his body. It's glowing. But it's not a glowfish. It's a platinum tiger barb. So we don't know for sure what it is. I do suspect, though, in my opinion, that someone has actually crossed in with these tiger barbs glow genes. Don't know how, but as you can see, these were not sold as glowfish. These were just regular green platinums. So I talked to him and asked for the source. These were shipped in from Singapore. So in Singapore, we do know that they have their own form of glowfish, not the glowfish that is copyrighted and trademarked and all that business, but there's a glowfish that the Singapore breeders are working with, and I suspect this fish must have been partly a cross between them. Now, if you're wondering what they look like when there's no lights on, now that's the other interesting thing. There's nothing glowing when there's no lights on. I'll show you what happens. Alexa, fish room off. Okay. Okay, this is without any lights on, but there's some indirect lights. But notice the green tiger barbs in the low light conditions just reflect a little bit of light off their skin, and they just look like a nice light lime colored green. But the one that was glowing can't be seen. The glow has disappeared. I don't see it. I think I know it's that one right there, right? But it's interesting. So, Alexa, fish room on. There it is. And see how it changes and you see the glow? That is quite a interesting glow. Well, I wasn't expecting to receive such a fish, and I don't know what to do with it really, but we shall see, if anything, what becomes of it. This weekend, I think it's time to get our pentazonas going. We need to get some of these fish bred, and we're going to do that with the tanks that we have available. That will be our next project. And over here, we have not been successful at rearing any of the fry of the fish here. These are threadfin rainbows. I was able to get some fry, but they did not survive. So it's time to make some real concerted effort to try to get some. I'm going to try to mimic my success from a few years ago. Turning over to the other side, we've got a couple of electric blues in this tank. I think we've got a blue light, make it stand out. Okay, well, you know, that's a good point. I need to get a blue light. That light is not adjustable, but I do have some that are blue adjustable. These are my electric blues. I think I have one male and two females, and we need to get another spawn of those. Now, I did pull out one pair of black rams, and you can see he's chasing her around, but at one point they were like cuddling up in the corner of the bigger tank. Yes, Shady Grady, the rainbows do spawn in the mop. They're doing fine in the mop. I haven't been changing out the mops and moving the mops into a grow out tank as often as I should. Empty tank reserved for the next pair that comes out. Another empty tank. I have an angel in there because I bleached this tank. The fish in it developed some issue and died. So when that happens, I usually bleach the tank and make sure the tank is totally sterile and no pathogens. I just completely let it sit for a few days, in fact, because I don't want anything to spread. And so right now the tank is ready because after the bleach treatment, I put a test fish, and that test fish is doing just great. It's been there a week. So that's the updates so far. These are These are some red lizard plecos in reserve for Mr. Bill Unger. I hope you take a look at these. I know you've ordered them, so it's just a matter of getting them to you at this point. They're looking good. And I have a second tank with some more, little smaller ones. And they're doing great too. I'm glad you see them, Bill. Some more Max. And we've pretty much gone around the room. There's an interesting phenomenon happening in my center display tank that's planted. And it's got this it's like a film of detritus everywhere. It's like actually powdered dead leaves. I think I put some dead leaves in there to just to add tannins and whatnot. But as you can see, the plants are suffering because they're covered. So I'm on this campaign every day. I'm going to shake the water and just start removing. I could get an over the back filter also. That does the trick too, to filter out all this stuff. Oh my goodness, 4 black rams. Look at that. I didn't even know I had 4 black rams in here. I thought I had only 3. I just saw 4 together. 1, 2, 3, and a 4th one. There's more in here than I thought. And there's a few, I keep a few Danios, the glow light Danios, and a few odds and ends such as cardinals, green neons. And over here at our contraption, this is the Blake contraption. It seems to have stopped. There's been no babies whatsoever for a few weeks now. So that means really something that I need to look at as far as the water parameters. I know I'm conditioning them with lots of live foods. I do feel that the CPDs I have are kind of on the older side. They did raise only 1 baby, 1 fry, and that fry had swim problems. So I don't know. The glow lights are doing great. I need to clean the glass. That would be helpful, eh? Let's see. Back up a little bit. Get you an overall picture. I might take out a few females and add a few males from the other tank and then see what happens. My crip is starting to take off. I moved it in here. I felt that would be the kind of plant that's not going to attract them for breeding. What do you think? Is that going to be an issue? It seems like if they want to breed, they're going to come over here to the moss. And this is running, but it's just not collecting any eggs. I think it's time to just clean it out and give it a go. Clean out the tank, maybe do some changes, add some fresh fish, see if that doesn't stimulate, and watch the temperatures. Start taking closer attention to the temperatures. I think that makes a big difference, you know. Well, that's it for the tour, the quick tour. I hope you had a. I'm gonna get this stand here set up. I hope you were able to enjoy a little bit of what's been going on here recently. Now to share exactly, you've been with me for a little while. It's been 40 minutes, and now to get to the really nitty-gritty stuff. Number one, I'd like to share the point that I learned in a recent video. I've been watching several videos just to mention them. I always mention the ones that are very notable and the ones that I particularly thought were worth watching. And number one, TM Aquatics put out one on his lights, the best lights in his whole fish room. And it was a great video. It really talked about some of the pros and cons of using shop lights, or which ones just seem to be working best for him. And lo and behold, I don't know if you're watching, Tim, but Tom, It turns out that the very fixtures that you came up with had a brand name, and you mentioned the brand name as being the best fixture you've had. But when I look at it and I see it and how you described it, it's exactly the same fixture we're using at the Fish Grow Out, almost exactly for the same price too. It's a China-made video, China-made fixture, and their video shows that it's the same one we're using, and throughout the whole, it's a tremendous fixture, and we love it because it's super lightweight. If you buy 8, I think, or 10 of them, it comes out to be a very reasonable, cheap price. So that's the other thing. Now, over here, I didn't mention the Lucipinus I had in that little tank there. I just don't want to forget them. They're there, but honestly, there's not much to show. They're just growing out. They're doing well. Fantastic. The other video I saw this week was one that was put out by Chris Biggs. If any of you know Chris Biggs, especially if you're from Canada, everyone knows Chris Biggs. Chris Biggs is the man who I would have to say has become the ambassador for the fish industry or fish hobby here in Canada. That's one way of putting it. And also, looks like my lights have dimmed down. Are we getting close? No. My lights have dimmed down. Oh no, this is what dimmed down. This is turned off here, my green water. And Chris Biggs had a video this week, Wednesday. It was a live show, and he interviewed a bunch of different individuals, and I think it's really worth watching. And because he's really featuring the question, how can we improve, or how can we kickstart aquarium clubs? And it was a very interesting subject, being that the pandemic has put a hold on a lot of people's lives. And oh, thank you very much. Yes, the Mad Aquarist. That's what his handle is. Thank you, Sandy. You're awesome. So in that particular video, Chris Biggs was able to interview several different people. Some of them very notable, some of them are very well known, and others maybe not so. But I couldn't help but think about, I know I'm not a young person, but I also know that I'm not a famous person, and maybe none of us can really hope and aspire to be a famous person. But it's really sad when somebody has some fame that goes to their head, and all they say is, I this and I that, and I did this and I did that. And I couldn't help but think, what a modest person Chris Biggs is. He's well known. He himself is quite famous. He's sought after for being a judge and other things. And yet he's still humble. And he realizes that, you will never know it all. And with the thousands of fish, it's impossible to know it all. So I really appreciate watching him, listening to him. But what can we do for clubs? In my end, or my experience, since I am the secretary of a local club, it's my duty to try to promote the club, as really everyone's privilege to try to promote the fish club, because it's a wonderful place. And even our fish club here in Peel Region, called Peel Regional Aquarium Club, PRAC, PRAC, has a nice club, but it's not of the numbers it used to be. So what can be done? Well, one thing I've learned is that I promote it by telling people who perhaps buy my fish or people who read my ads, at the bottom I always include a clause about joining the club. Something about the club. Why should one join the club? What are the benefits? And by doing that promotion, I think that if everyone did something like that, it would really spark the interest and cause people to think about the benefits and why I should go to a club meeting and get some of the great deals. And you know, getting great deals is something that is possible. I know every time I go and there's a little mini auction, I always walk away just amazed. I have a little fish here. It's a beta fish. Thank you, Shady Grady, for your wonderful, wonderful, kind offer. We call that a what is a sticker? No, that's not a sticker. That's a super chat. Thank you so much. And you know, Sandy, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, what if you're not in an area where you have a club? Well, Chris Biggs also talks about that. The truth is, Mr. Bill Unger is a member of our club, and he's not even close. So, how does he do it? Well, I'll tell you how he does it. He goes to the website. It's called Peel Aquarium. What's the website? PeelAquariumClub.ca, right? Okay. If I remember that right. And he goes to the upper right-hand corner where it says to join the club, and you can join online. So when you go online, you can join the club, PeelAquariumClub.ca, and you become a Zoom member. So when we have our meetings, we also have a tie-in for the Zoom people. And even some of our speakers. Our last speaker was on Zoom. So in that fashion, or in that way, they were enjoying the club talk and everything. The only thing they couldn't do was they couldn't participate in the auction because they weren't there to receive the items, right? But apart from that, they got a reduced membership rate. So it's only $10 to join virtually. $10. $10 a year, and you become a member of the Peel Regional Aquarium Club. There's going to be a lot of things coming down the pike this year. Hi, Greg. Hi, everyone, and thank you very much. Yes, peelaquariumclub.org. Huh. Thank you for correcting me on that, Aqua Malik. It's .org, not .ca. First I was thinking it didn't sound right, and that's why. It was the ending was wrong. So .ca is not correct. It's .org, the organization. Yes, thank you. So you join a club, and that's what the subject of the video was. Joining a club and the benefits of it. Ideas from different people who've been around a long time. And I missed the very beginning of that video, so I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to listen to it as well. Let's see, there was one other video I wanted to mention that I thought was really super. And that is the one from Keeping Fish Simple. Again, our buddy down under has done a great job, a wonderful, wonderful job. And he interviewed Peter, who has his own fish room. If you watch that video, he breeds tetras, and his setup is amazing. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something I learned from that video. It's something that's quite obvious, and something I already knew. Now, I'm going to tell you and give you an example. When Peel Regional Aquarium Club had their meeting, and one of their invited guests was Bill Shields. Bill Shields used to work down, well, he's retired now, but he used to work down in the Florida where the fish farms are. He's very familiar with all of them, and he worked for a well-known fish farm. So as a retired person, he can say a lot of things about how things were done and so forth. It was really awesome. So Bill Shields mentioned something about how they breed cardinal tetras and neon tetras and those kinds of fish. What he said was, and I'm going to just paraphrase, but what he said was when a fish is say in a tank and it just sits there and sits there and sits there and every so often gets called upon to be taken out of the tank, put into a breeder tank like this one, and says, okay, can you please do your thing, and then they don't do anything, it's not a surprise. But what they found was that if you take the fish and if you put the fish in the tank, leave it for 2 days, take it out of the tank, and then take it and put it in another tank in 2 or 3 days, and then take it out, and then put it in another tank, and you keep doing that, the fish starts to spawn, and then it starts to get the eggs out, and it becomes accustomed, and it learns that, you know, when I'm going in these conditions of this special tank, it's just me and a boy, the girl decides to go ahead and lay the eggs. So what they found was when a fish is repeatedly bred, that they will do it more readily. That wasn't his expression, but that was the effect of what he was saying. Repeated attempts make for a better aptitude to laying the eggs. Now, it made sense to me. Because in the wild, they're just, you know, repeatedly. They're like what we call those kind of fish that just are trickle spawners. They will like to lay, and then they'll lay, and then they'll lay, you know, but not all at the same moment, right? You know, they're going to do it maybe today, maybe tomorrow, another day. So bear that in mind. That's what Bill related to us at our club meeting. It was so educational. And by the way, if you're interested in that particular video, we do have it on recorded. But the only way to see it is to be a member of our club. So another great reason to join. So there's a lot of benefits that come about. Now, what I saw in Nick's video when he went to go see Peter, Nick from Down Under, our mate from Down Under, what Nick said was, or Peter, I should say, Peter, he took 4 tanks, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And what he would do is he takes a trio, or he takes a small, you know, 2 males, 2 females, 2 pair of these tetras, and he puts them in tank number 1. He leaves them there for 2 or 3 days. Now the eggs are going to hatch. They're going to start being predated upon. He takes them out and puts them in tank number 2. Again, they're doing the same thing. They start laying and so forth. Then he takes them out and he puts them in tank number 3. Okay? By tank number 4, they have been well over a week to 10 days. They've been breeding in these tanks, and there's nothing predating on them. So that in itself was a tremendous find, because it is kind of convenient that he had his tanks sitting up near a window so the morning light would come, and he says they would breed every morning. Now, I've heard that many a time from people that that's what tetras like to do, is breed in the morning, and other fish too. Well, adapting that concept to what I do here made me start to think. Now, what I did a few weeks ago, if you recall, is we got 4 tanks together, right? 4 breeding tanks, and I'll just show. Tank number 1, pair of tiger barbs. Tank number 2, pair of tiger barbs. Tank number 3, a pair of tiger barbs. They were all green moss or green tiger barbs. The last tank, I put a pair of green platinums that I had. In the end, after a number of days goes by, tank number 2 is full of baby fish. So I was successful. I used whammy, 4 pairs, whammy, 1 out of 4 took. The pair 1 actually did lay also some fry, and in that particular tank we had about 6, I think 6 fry. There were only 6, and they were the same age as these, so I took a turkey baster, and as I saw them, I would just suck them up and put them with the others. So maybe some of these, maybe 2, 3, maybe up to 6 max, would have been from pair number 1. But now I have a tank that I'm growing out some green tiger barbs. Hopefully I'll get some beauties. At this age, they haven't started to turn green yet. They need to get a little older. They'll start darkening up. I'm looking for green tiger barbs with beautiful red ventral fins. Now, I've been breeding several generations looking for this particular quality. On the other hand, using the method that was described to me in the video from this week, it lends me to believe now that I'm going to clean out these 3 tanks, and I'm going to do something else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take those Pentazonas, which now the conditions and requirements are a little different. I have found that with those fish, they're not like the tiger barbs where I put them in the tank and within seconds they're already breeding. What I find is that they're very secretive and that they like to be in groups, small groups. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose 2 or 3 females and 3 or 4 males, maybe up to 7 fish. And we're going to put them in tank number 1. And then after 3 days, you won't see anything, but after 3 days I'm going to move them to tank number 3 because tank number 2 is obviously got tiger barbs in it. And then we're just going to move them and leave them again for 3 days. And then we're going to move them to tank number 3. We're going to see if this method really does pan out, if this is really going to work. So probably tomorrow we're going to clean these tanks and get them ready for this particular episode. Now I want to mention that with Pentazonas, they have been separated for quite a bit of time. I have 6 males and 6 females, and they've been separated for probably at least 6 months. I haven't had them together because I haven't been breeding them for quite some time. But I want to do it now. So what we're going to do is I've been conditioning them up with live food. So I have the grindle worms and the baby brine shrimp and all the good stuff, and I'm just feeding them up, and they're quite happy. So let's give that a try this week, and let's see what the results are. If I'm good, I'll get enough Pentazonas to maybe say I have a batch of about 100 or more. I say that because the last time I bred these fish, I did breed a batch of well over 100. I was very pleased with the results. I put them on Kijiji for sale, and that's how I met Bill Unger. Right, Bill? You saw the ad, you said, I want some of those barbs, and you came all the way from Almer to my home to pick up those Pentazonas. And that's how we met. That was the first time we met. Thanks for joining us again, Bill. So that's the story of the Pentazonas. I want to really do it. I call them Hexazonas. Some people call them Pentazonas. They've got 5 bars and a very faint 6 bar. I was at a fish shop in the last month or so, and they had a batch of Pentazonas. No, I wasn't at a fish shop. No. I was looking at the fish at Dan's Fish in Wyoming. At Dan's Fish, he has Pentazonas and Hexazonas, and he's selling them separately. But look at the picture, you'll see they're the same fish. So what has happened, and I know this because I was at a local fish store. I was at Big Al's in Hamilton. No, Kitchener. I was at Big Al's in Kitchener. And I ran across their Pentazonas one day, and I took one look at them, and I said, look at that. The faint final bar at the caudal peduncle, right at the end of the body, right when the tail begins, was very strong. I wish that day I had actually purchased some of those fish, because they were genetically, to me, much closer to, maybe even were wild caught, who knows, because usually a lot of times they're just a bunch of tank rays. But that particular fish had the bar, it was very strong, and you could count and see 6 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they had them for sale as Pentazonas. But that's what's happened. If you look at the books and the references, you'll see that over the course of time, or from the very beginning of time, when these fish were being imported and put on fish lists and local fish shops were buying them and selling them, they were always called Pentazonas, not realizing that they're only Pentazonas. The real Pentazonas really don't, you know, they're hardly ever actually traded in the ornamental fish trade. So it's impossible to change people's minds once something's got fixed, and there's a lot of cases of that in our fish world. That's where individuals or specific names have been attributed to a certain fish when in actuality it's the wrong species, and somehow it gets stuck that way, and that's just the way they're always been sold, and that's the way they'll always be sold. Fish shops rarely ever will change the name based on the fact that, oh, somebody's changed the name. Now, that happened in a lot of cases. And I'll give you a real prime example. I've been looking for Dawkinsia assimilis at the time, before the name changed, or the species was split into 2 species, Dawkinsia assimilis and Dawkinsia apsara. They split it because it came from 2 different rivers, and there's definitely a visual difference between the 2. When they get older, it's very obvious to see the difference between the 2 rivers. So they did some decision making and testing and whatnot, whatever the people do what they do, and they made them 2 species now. But up until now, they've always been imported as a certain scientific name, and that's what they continue to get. So I went to the fish store. I was told, oh, we got some mascara barbs. I got all excited. I says, how many you got? And I didn't really even look at them. I just saw healthy looking fish. They were only 2 inches, 2.5 inches, so they were very small. At that age, they're kind of a long, slender fish. And they had so many, so I says, I'll take 30. And I took 30. I spent big bucks, and I took 30 of them. I got them home, and I looked at them, and as they grew, I kept looking at them, and I kept staring, and I said, wait a minute, the tails are wrong. The tails are completely wrong. There's no spots. They have to have spots. So I looked at them and I said, this is a different species of Dawkinsia. This is the same genus, but these are Rohani barbs. So I went all the way back to the local fish store and I said, do you know you sold me Rohani barbs as mascara barbs? And the owner said, well, that's what they were sold to me as. No. In other words, I just sell what I'm told to sell, right? Kind of an eye-opener. What it tells me is it's not so much there was any deceit. There was no deceit going on. Nobody was trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. But you know what it was? It was just kind of ignorance, ignorance being that they couldn't tell the difference. So if they can't tell the difference, that's what a lot of places do. You say you're looking for mascara barbs, they say, yeah, we have them. But what they send you is not what they just think, well, you won't know the difference. Well, the Rouhani barbs have red tails. They're like a totally red tail. They weren't what I was looking for. Anybody who knows LRB Aquatics, everybody knows LRB, right? He's one of the old timers in the fish tube world. And he had these mascara barbs in the back of his big TV screen. So we were watching those as he does his live streams, and we were falling in love with these fish, right? Everybody loves them. I did my research. I knew about these mascara barbs long before. But when I saw that he had them, I noticed that he had exactly what I wanted. There's another fella who has these barbs. His name is Howie, and he's in England, and he's not on YouTube. But he's on Facebook. So if you look him up, and you can look at my Facebook page and find him in my friends. His name is Howie. He's in Wales, and I think he's one of the most unbelievable fish breeders I've ever encountered. Unbelievable. He breeds thousands of fish just for the fun of it. And he just enjoys it, and he has these 1-foot cube tanks that he uses to breed them. Anyway, long story short, enough about Howie. Howie is not actually, his name is Howgate. Let me get that correct. Howgate. Albie Howgate. Let me get that name right. Sorry about that. So he has these mascara barbs. And again, he's another individual who I know has them, breeds them, and does marvelous with them. And gorgeous fish. And I wish that I had some. Well, just to emphasize, we don't always trust or should trust a person who says this is what they are. Always go into it with a little bit of knowledge. Know what you're looking for and do your homework. And if you're looking for something specific, you better be a connoisseur, or at least an expert on something to identify what you're looking for, because that's the only way you're going to be able to, for sure, identify what you're getting. Great to see you, Craig. Craig's Catfish Cave has joined us for tonight. Thank you so much. That's my soapbox for the identification and for the barbs. I'll get off that for now. I will go on to something a little more interesting. I wanted to mention some of the mailroom before I talk about some heaters. I got to talk about the heaters. I promised everybody I would talk about the heaters. I wanted to mention something about the paramecia. I constantly get replies about the paramecia. The paramecia I can send out so easily. Cheap too. For no more than $10 US dollars, I'm sending it out. And I send it to the US, I send it to Canada, and I even have sent it down to the Australian continent, and they've arrived great, and people have had great success. In fact, some of the successes I've posted at fisheasy.ca, where you can order it. And that's where I posted a few of the names. But here's one I got recently. It's from Theodore. He says, "Your YouTube channel has been very informative for me and is invaluable to the hobby. Thank you very much, Theodore. I'm hoping you will help me with a problem having with my ram fry. I have no issues hatching huge batches but after they become free swimming, they go up to the top of the breeder box and start dying 1 to 2 days later. They never go down into the box as you have described in your videos. I feed paramecium using your method of culturing. Thank you so much. The culture is thick with paramecium. So these are, they're having good results with that. His water is pH of 7, 90 parts per million, 82 degrees. He changes half the water daily in the breeder box and a slight bubbling air stone. So in talking about, we've already ran past that issue of them going to the surface. I think that it's important to know that it's not always so easy to just know exactly why they would die off. But I would go to look closely to see if they're stuck up into the adhesion portion of the water where it reaches the edge of the plastic or glass. And if they're kind of like just hovering in there, that could be something that might be preventing them from getting out and getting some food. In that particular case, it might be wiser to maybe increase the bubbles a little bit, just to provide a little more jostling. Not a lot, don't make them, boil them, as it were. Not such a great thing. Now, that's my suggestion. Now I have another mailbag. And this is from Ron. And this is what Ron says. Just wanted you to know I started both cultures and they are often going like wildfire. I started one as per your instructions and then another using a gallon jug. Your method with the wheat kernels and yeast, then water from my aquarium with a squeeze from a clump of java moss. I figured if it worked, I could seed another container from my gallon jug. So he bought 2 starters, and he used one for just pure paramecium, and he used another one to use as sort of starting it with his aquarium water. It was very ingenious. So then that way he could see, you're not getting just the paramecium, but you're getting a good supply of it, but at the same time you're getting some infusoria from your tank. But then of course he keeps it. He says, I've been in the hobby on and off for 55 years and I still learn a lot from your channel. Angels are my favorite to breed, and now I'm working on barbs and Royal Farewella. I'm on my 3rd batch of Farewella babies in 6 weeks. The fry range in size from just hatched to 1 1/8 inches. No, 1 1/4 inches. Watch you mostly on the replays. Thanks for all you do for the hobby, Ron. Well, thanks, Ron, and thanks for the ideas. You're giving us some ideas, and that's what's great. So when people write back, they often share ideas with what they saw, what they've learned, and then they share it with others. And that's the whole purpose of Fish Easy's channel, to share the knowledge that I have with others, and of course to admit that I don't know it all. Of course I can't find solutions to everything, but in the end, if there's something I can do to help, great. And maybe another listener or person can come up with something great too. So there's been some really neat successes with those who've got the paramecia. I know one individual, as I reported I think last time, said they never had such a great success rate with their fry, their rams, before using the paramecia. But now it's like they don't know what they're going to do with so many fry. And that's what happens. So it's a great, paramecia is a great initial food for those who can make it work out. Now, let's go on to talk about some heater issues. I lost 37 discus. They were good size. They were about like that. Came home, looked at, they were all floating at the top. Water was super hot. Yeah, a heater failure. Now there's nothing in this hobby of ours that's worse than heaters. For some reason, heaters are just something that will eventually go bad, and it's like a time bomb ticking. They do have an extended life. They do have an exact life expectancy. In other words, they're expected to go bad after a while. Why? Because they work. If they some of them still do. The older ones did. I know a bimetallic, just like a thermostat. And so there's a thermostat inside. Two dissimilar materials, and they're together. And so their expansion as they heat up is different. So it causes bending, and then click, it will shut off or shut on the heater. Those tend to fail after so many ons and offs. Even a light switch. There's always a spark when electricity, when there's voltage across two contacts, when they come together, if even in air, as they get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and spark. So no matter how fast you close it, just before they close, there's a spark. That's true with all light switches. There is a kind, with an exception, that does have a. There are some breakers that do have a type of spark inhibiting material. But anyway, that's not beside the point. Now, what that means is every time there's a spark, there's actually oxidation occurring, and so then non-conductive material begins to form and build on those contacts. Eventually getting to the point where the contact doesn't make contact anymore, even though they're together. So a light switch in a house may last 20, 30 years, but after maybe on the 40 years, it's time. Yeah, after 40 years or so, the light switches start going bad. I know Malik has a couple of light switches that have had it. And it's what happens, and so that's why heaters fail. So I'm trying several different things, but I'm going to share with you something I like and something I don't like about heaters. Let's take a look at these heaters here. This is the traditional one that I've been using up for the last few years. What I don't like about it is that in order to see what it's set at, I have to pull it out, reach my hand in there, and to adjust it, and it is adjustable with that red knob at the top. Okay, and what about this one? This one is the Aquarium Co-op. I bought the cheap ones that they had available at the time because I was in the United States at the time, and I was able to grab these. Unfortunately, these are the ones that are going to start flashing end of life after they reach a certain stage. They haven't done that yet, but they will. And there's no way to change that or turn it off. So I'm going to have a flashing light after a while. But I knew that. But I wanted to try them out. They're kind of big and bulky. And I don't particularly care for the suction cups. I've not found anybody who has suction cups that are of higher quality. The only suction cups of highest quality are the ones that come from Germany that are associated with the bubblers or tumblers. I think it's the, is it the Zis tumblers? Maybe Tom can mention that, what the brand was for sure. But these heaters, they have a display, but also they have a controller that's out here. So we have a long cord, and I like it, so I can hit set. So it says 81. I'm going to start pushing the button, right? Push. And I see it's flashing. I push, 81, 82. You see it came on, the light comes on. Now I can just click it to where I want it to be. It goes up and then it goes down, back down low, because nobody wants it over 90 anyway. 65, 66, 67. So let's say I want to bring it down to 78. So I cycle through, and now I just let go, and poof, it's at 78. So this one will cool down if it gets that cool in the fish room. Right now it's 80 in the fish room anyway, so So Tool teardowns. My first batch of first ever Odessa barbs just hit a month old. I only have a dozen, but I'm learning a lot. Thanks for your videos. Yeah, I do have a bunch of Odessa breeding videos that I've never published. I created them, but I've just never got to the editing. So one of these days, maybe a snowy day like this weekend, I don't know, I want to get those published. So stay tuned. Keep watching the channel. I hope you're subscribed. So just as in the case of Steve at Scheller Aquatics, again, he lost a wild discus to a faulty heater. No discus in my fish room anymore is going to be without a heater controller. Now, this is a heater, but this is not a controller. This is just a temperature gauge. But if that thing goes faulty, this thing is going to burn up. Usually, it's true, they could go burn out and so not put out the heat. And that might not be so bad for the fish. They would probably survive. And one day I'd put my hand in there and say, kind of cool, why? And then I would find out. Or maybe the light would go out and I would see. But if they just continually get stuck on, they will just cook the fish. So the other secondary thing to this type of heater is that it's kind of big and bulky. And you see there's holes where the little fish can go inside. But you know what? I've never found that the little fish who go inside and go out and go around the heating element and everything, I've never found them to have any issues. In other words, I've never seen a fish get hurt from a heater. Like, oh, look at it, he just got burned. Don't know why. I guess they quickly move off if it gets too hot. And here's tank number 3, and it's got the same one. They're all pretty much the same. Now, question. Are these reliable? What I found is these numbers on the Aquarium Co-op, it says 81. I have found that they're super accurate. How do I know? How do I know? I'm going to demonstrate how I know. I'm going to move the camera a second. There's the 4 breeder tanks. They're all lined up. And thank you, Saints Dust Aquarium. Thanks for joining. So great to have some new ones join us. I'm going to pull out my, this is a thermometer. And this thermometer is made by Kodak. It's an older model. It's the kind that probably has mercury in it. But it's super fast and super accurate. So right now I just pull it out in the air and it says 78. And the lights just went out. Alexa, Fishroom, okay. So I'm going to put it in the water and we're going to see what the actual temperature is. Now while it's doing that, I'm going to just give it a couple minutes and we're going to just see what actual value. It says 80 there. I'm going to see if it goes up to 80. I also am going to talk about these. This is a typical one. I have tried more than one brand, and these are laser guns for temperature. So in order to check the temperature, I just hold, and it says, like for example, this one says 79.3, but inside it says 81. I have the setting set to 0.93, which is for flat glass or water. So it should be the same for flat glass or water. Let's do it. 79.2. So I get 79.3 and 79.2. Somebody asked me, oh, well, you know, if you're doing it through glass, you're not getting accurate measurements. I have yet to see the difference in measuring the glass or 79. So let's compare it to one of these other tanks. This one, it jumps. What I sometimes do is point it at the floor. It says 70. So my floor is 70 degrees. And then it goes right back up to 79, which is there. But what I've learned is that this one is pretty accurate. Fairly accurate. However, I got a second one. I thought they were so nice. I'll get a second one, right? Here it is. Here's my second one. And I wanted to see this one used, and so I compared them. This is 79, right? Yeah. Let's see what this one says. This one says 83. Wow, 83. That's a big difference. But it says 83.5. What does it say for the water? Oh, stuck. Hold on. I'm going to point it at the floor. Okay, so it's at max. Was this max or average? Oh, that was on average. I got to put it on the same settings. So click. Okay, we're looking at average temperature, because what it's doing is it's taking multiple readings, like reading across a little space, and so then it averages the number. So my average here, it says 83.7, and for the water, 83.3, 84. This one doesn't seem to be as accurate. Now it jumped to the differential. Hold on. This one's acting up. Wouldn't you know it? It always acts up when you're live, right? Let me try that. 83.8. 83.7. So again, 83.7, 83.8. Now let's try it again. I'm going to make it go cold. I'm going to point it at the floor. It's not reading 72. Well, anyway, 75. Maybe this one's battery is needing a little help. I'm not sure, but watch. 84.4. 84.6. So again, the glass and the water are the same. So the answer to that question is the same. But why is this one so much higher than this one? Well, I thought maybe this one needed to be calibrated. So I went rushing through, and I went to see what exactly needs to be calibrated. Well, it turns out when you do it like this, can you read it? There we go. Hey, Jeff. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is so awesome. And this particular number, 86.4, is, yeah, a lot higher. But you know what? I found out from back here, of course, you know what's happening is the further back you are, the bigger the range. It's probably picking up some of the heat from the light and averaging it in and so forth. So if you really want to get accurate, you need to be close so that the surface area is like if I'm right up in here, you want it to take the temperature of the glass. The closer you are, the better the average will be. Oh. Okay. It's beeping because it's way out of whack. At any rate, I don't know why that one's so weird, but this one, very consistent. I'm very happy with this one. Gives me numbers. It says 79.9 and the heater says 80. This one says 80.1 and the heater says 81. So within 1 degree. So that's perfect. However, just to mention, the truth is that you can't calibrate those things. In fact, maybe that particular model, there's no calibration. But when I read the paperwork very carefully, it says that there is a 2-degree tolerance. In other words, when they put it together, they probably have a certain way to do it. And just depending on the temperature of the day, the room, it may be up a degree or two, but they say it's a 2-degree tolerance from actuality. So the one gun I have is spot on. The other gun is kind of all over the place, but it's always seems to be 2 degrees warmer than the other one. That's why I marked it with the rubber band. I know which one is the higher gun, so when I pick it up, I can use it, just knowing that when it says 82, it's really 80. Because in the manufacturing process, it turns out to be exactly 2 degrees tolerance. So, something to know about those guns and something to be aware of. You need to basically test it. Now, we haven't gone back to our thermometer. By now it's, of course, hold on. Oh yeah. Okay, back to the thermometer. Here we go. So in this case, let's see what it is. This tank which it says 80 on this one says, I don't know if you can see it. I want you to see it. Let me just see if I can pick up the camera. Let's see if you can see this. Hold on. I'm going to try to zoom you in. There it is. You see that right there? 80.5. So not even to the first notch. It's right in between. It's really, you can't get closer to 80 than that. You see that thick line? It's kind of bluish in the camera, but in actuality it's silver. No, it's blue in the real life. So yeah, it's 80. So this tells me, by measuring it special like that, that this heater, which says 80 on it, is really right on the money. So I give that to Aquarium Co-op. That is wonderful. 80. This one, 81, and I believe it. This one, I have no idea, and that's why I'm going to get rid of this heater. So before I start the process, I'm going to do it. So, so Steve, you got the same gun? Oh, that's amazing. So your gun is spot on. So you got like my good one. The co-op heater is 1 degree off. So far, so good. So yeah, with a tolerance of 1 degree, I have no issues. You know, if anybody has a 1 degree tolerance, I think that's great. You know, no problem. Let me go get my, I'm going to set up the camera because we're going to do something now that I've been wanting to do for some time. Let's take a look at a different heater. Could be very much the same, I don't know. Alright, this is the heater, okay? We'll just put the heater there. We're going to change the camera. We're going to put in the tripod. Okay, there we go. Okay, wow, I don't know what happened there. I must have hit the button again. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad I didn't lose you. Let me try this one more time. This is not, I got to figure out an easier way to get this in and out of the tripod. Okay, so there's the tripod, okay? It's getting awfully hot in here. How large should I let Odessa barb fry before we can go back with adults? Mine are about 1/4 inch long and a month old. That's a good question. I hardly ever put them back with the adults. I usually have them in a different tank. So as long as they can't eat them, they're fine. There's a gentleman on this platform. He's on our channel, Chris Stubbs. He grows them in the ponds. So my question is, if they're in a pond, and you have the large fish swimming around, and they have babies, and then the little fish start swimming with the big fish, how big do they have to be before they're with the parents? Well, wait a minute, they're with the parents. They're with the parents and they grow up with the parents because they're in a pond. They find hiding spots and they don't get eaten. So the answer to that question is if you have them big enough they can't get eaten, they're too big to be eaten or swallowed. That's plenty big enough, and they'll have no issues. They'll just have to fight for their amount of food, right? Okay. So maybe we can stop and think about. Hold on, let me get my knife. What I got here is another heater that was sent to me, and you all get to enjoy the first opening of the box. So welcome everyone. We're going to talk about heaters. We've talked about the heaters I have here in my tanks. These particular heaters are Aquarium co-op heaters, and we'll take a look at those and what they are all about. Why I like those for the breeding tanks, and why I don't like the kind that are just twist at the top. I've had those, sometimes they stick, and I've had some go bad. Everybody's had heaters in a situation where the heaters are no good, and so we're always looking for the perfect heater. Unfortunately, I don't really believe that there is a perfect heater out there, but I do know that maybe some are better than others. That's my point of view. So I'm going to open up a box that was sent to me on a new heater. I'd like to see what it's all about. I'd like to see if it's like these, and if I can use it, since I have the spare tank, and I'm going to be breeding this week. I would like to test it out and use it in conjunction with the other ones to see if the control on it is accurate enough and it's going to be good enough for my fish tank. If it's good enough for my fish tank, surely it's going to be as good for your fish tanks too. So let's give that a whirl. Let's see, this is the box. I haven't opened it up. I don't even know what it looks like inside. I imagine. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, so it's a box in a box. Box in a box. Here we go. Okay, what we're looking at is a Hygger Smart PTC heater, HG921. This particular heater, I know nothing about, but I definitely am interested in finding out if it's going to be good for my fish room, because if it's good for my fish room, it could be very well good for your fish room too. So open it up. Got the usual stuff, packing, user manual. User manual seems okay. This is something interesting. You can put the thing flat on the bottom of the tank. That's nice to know. You can also put it up vertical in the tank. That's good to know. And they have the normal warnings about how to do a drip loop. This is the tank. Okay. Wow. This is some heater. Got some brackets. This is definitely a bigger heater than the one that I have in these little 5 gallons. And you may have to use this on a bigger tank. The box. Don't need the plastic. Okay. Well, this is most interesting. It's a safety electric energy saving heater. I had no idea. I had no idea. I thought it was a 50-watt heater. This is pretty hefty for a 50-watt heater. But apparently they sent me something bigger. It's a 500-watt heater. Well, in this case, I won't use it in one of the 5 gallons. I'll have to use it in a bigger tank. But I do have some bigger tanks, and we'll give it a try. And we're going to set it up. We're going to use it. We're going to make it a practical use. And that'll probably be in a future video where we see where we've been using it. What's important to know is a couple of things. I did have a situation where I received a heater like one of these. That's why I only have 3 aquarium co-ops. I don't have 4, even though I have 4 tanks, because one of the ones that came defective. How was it defective? Well, the cord, part that goes actually into the water, and it could go into the water, was split. It was sliced. And so the insulation was open, and I complained about it. Well, I didn't complain. I just told Aquarium Co-op about it, sent them a picture, a video of what I had received, and they immediately made restitution on that purchase. So they were sorry about that. You know, I can believe that. It looked like it was just a manufacturing defect, and I totally agree. It was just a manufacturing defect because it looked like someone with a sharp knife had sliced it in packing it and so forth. This is very heavy, and that's one very interesting aspect. I guess it would have to be if this thing was going to be 500 watts. This will heat up a very large tank. Now behind me is the 90 gallon, and so what I might do is we could just unplug the heater that's in there, which is a Hygger. No, it's not a Hygger, it's an E-Heim. So we can unplug the E-Heim and use the Hygger, and this way I might have easier access, because with the E-Heim I always have trouble figuring out how on earth I'm going to control it. This is a very long cord, as you can see. I like that. I'm always looking for that, and as you can see from these heaters, the reason I like it is because the heater's inside, and the controller or temperature set device is on the outside, right here in front, where I can change it, up it, lower it at a moment's notice. It's got a button. This looks like it's simple to use. It's got some sort of readout, and it's got a button. Probably works the same as these buttons here. I like it to be dummy proof. I like heaters that you don't have to figure out a lot of complicated things. I imagine this goes into the tank, and I guess this goes out of the tank, and it gets plugged in. How much more complicated can that be? And then the suction cup obviously goes there. I'm going to see what that feels like. Okay. Slides on easy. Not bad. And there's 4. Okay. So you got 4 to hold the thing on. It's kind of heavy, so I guess it would need to be. Okay. So we're going to give that a try. This was a surprise box opening, and it's for Hygger, the HG921, and I'm anxious to try it out now. So we'll try it out on our discus tank. I also would like to see more about this. Is this just a temperature controller with the display on the on this thing? I wonder if well, this is most interesting. This is most interesting. Look, it's a heater that gives you error codes and will tell you if the heater rod is exposed to air, so in other words, it's not in water. If the water temperature is higher than 97, I guess, I wonder if it would make an audible beep. If there's a communication failure, it says the solution on that case is to discard the heater. The relay is melted, discard the heater. Temperature sensor is short circuit protection, discard the heater. So there's error codes. But what I want to know is, so it's, most interesting. Safety control protects against overheating. When the water temperature passes 97 accidentally, the heater will stop heating automatically. When the water temperature is less than 34, the heater will start working automatically. Of course, it would have to be in water for that to happen. 34. That's Celsius. So when the water temperature is less than 93, the heater will start working automatically. Okay, so it cuts out at 97. It'll start working again if it gets below 93. It just says it will start again, but doesn't mean it will heat up to that. It's a dual relay design. One heater with two relays is like two parts, two hearts for one person. It is safer for aquariums. So two relays. So if one goes bad, at least the whole thing doesn't go bad. So there's got a lot of extra protection in here. I've never heard of this kind of heater. I'm not even familiar with it. It was nice of somebody to pick it out for me. It has an ABS protective sleeve, so it prevents small fish from harm. After you shut it off, the heater will keep the last setting once power is on again. So if the power goes out, power goes back on. It has a memory. That's good. If the water is too low, the rod is exposed, the heater shuts off automatically. Okay. So it kind of sounds like they're trying to do a heater with a controller. It's like doing the same thing with a controller, using relays to hit the power off and on if there's certain conditions that exist. Well, I'm impressed. I'm excited to give it a try. This is something that Hygger has put together. I will say this. I have not purchased many Hygger products myself. However, there is one product I did purchase, and I totally love it. Unfortunately, it's not here. I can't show you what it is. It's actually at the fish grow out center, and it's the Hygger algae scraper. It's a telescoping rod, and it has a pad on it, and it works great. I like that because I have big tanks there, and I'm going through the tanks, catching the back, everything, and getting all that brown algae off. So that's sort of what it's all about. Amazing, simply amazing. The company I don't know a lot about, other than I did do some investigation to find out that they have a very strong presence here in Canada and U.S., but I think actually they are a Chinese company originally. So in other words, it's probably manufactured in China. That's my guess. Let me see if I can confirm that. If it says it anywhere, I don't see it there. Maybe it's on the box. Probably does. Usually these things do. Yeah, made in China. I found it. And their website is hygger-online.com, hyggeronline.com with a hyphen in the middle, hygger-online.com. So according to this, the features are, it's got a controller and a heating rod. Do not use the heating rod in corrosive water. Wow. Fully submergible. External temperature controller. Frequency conversion design. Probably that means they can use it in Europe as well. So that is the extent of my unboxing, but unboxing it for me is just the beginning. So we're going to check back at a future time to see how it's running, and I'm going to have maybe a little rundown on something about it, like for example how it's been operating, how accurate the temperature is, but only after I've been using it for a while. Because can I really give this product my thumbs up, saying, hey, I use it and would recommend it to someone? Only after I've tested it, not after I've unboxed it. I do know that a lot of people, I say, oh, unboxing, let me see what it is, and I know people flock to a lot of videos because of that, but the truth is, it's just an unboxing. Okay, you saw what was in the box, but to really be able to comment on the product, it has to be something that has been tested. So let's do that. Let's test it now in the next couple weeks, and in a future moment, we'll reconvene here, and we'll just make a moment to talk about the pros and cons of what I found out. As I've mentioned earlier, I have pros and cons about the heaters I've been using for a long time and the ones that I have now been using for a shorter time, but reliably have been working for me. And these are the things. Now, if you have comments about this heater or maybe your experience, please go right ahead and leave your comments down below in the comment section of this video. I would appreciate that very much, because the jury is out. We don't know yet if, in fact, this heater is what it claims to do, is what it's going to be. So in conclusion for today, I just would like to say thank you all very much for joining, and a super thank you for a super chat for all you folks that have been so kind to us. We're going to be moving on to Aqua Malik now after this is ended. Aqua Malik is going to pick it up, and if you're so kind, Aqua Malik, if you're so kind, it would be great for you to show off the Hygger scrub brush on the end of a telescoping. And there are some attachments that I haven't used and that do have it, but just show off what we typically use day in and day out. It's a great product, and I'm just shouting out something that I do use, something that is really practical, and something that is very effective. Finally, my book review. Just so you know, there's a great book on culturing live foods. I recommend it. This is Culturing Live Foods by Michael Hellweg. It's a step-by-step guide for culturing one's own food for the home aquarium. And I want you to all keep your eye out for this if you're interested in just having a book where, oh, okay, Daphnia, or maybe it's something on how to use green water, or maybe it's something about brine shrimp. There's a whole chapter on it. Larval foods, flies, worms, everything. But this has always been the go-to book. And this book on culturing live foods is my go-to book when I go to wanting to pick up some tips, and I have had that many, many times. It's been great seeing everybody, and if I didn't give you a shout out, it's because maybe my hands were full, busy, I just missed you, but I thank you so much for all the opportunity to chat about heaters and to show you some of the things that have been going on in the fish room. I will be doing this just as a final announcement. It's kind of a great time to mention this, that I will be having some quick live streams, and they will not be on Friday night. They'll be throughout the week, maybe just a short period of time. I'm going to try to fix Friday nights as an opportunity to maybe have the main live stream, if I can, if at all possible. But if in the future I just kind of go live on a Monday night, it's just maybe I want to show you something and I want to just hit it. So maybe if you missed it because it was only maybe 15-20 minutes long and you missed something, please, by all means, just watch the replay. Maybe I'll just do that in the form of videos and post the video so that everybody can just like watch it whenever they have a convenient moment. There'll just be an update, so an update to what we talk about. So thank you very much, everyone. And as you know, Aqua Malik and myself also make it our business to share with everybody fish that we sell or raise for sale. And there are opportunities to get some of our fish. And I hope that Aqua Malik mentions some of the places we sell fish to, because in the Greater Toronto area, there's quite a number of aquarium shops that buy our fish. They're the ones that get because we raise so many, they are the ones that have them. You can just go down to the shop and say, hey, are these from Aqua Malik? Are these from Aquarium Biz? That's our business together. And if you go to aquarium.biz, Aquarium Biz, YouTube, as to see little video clips of fish that are available. That's where we post little, clips of actual fish that are available at the moment. Those videos may come and go, but you can go check them out at www.aquarium.biz. And so enjoy checking it out. Some of the scenes, we find some interesting things to share there. And also, if you have a question, contact us. There's the information there available. There's a contact page. Feel free to do that. So, little plug for our website, and don't forget to support your local fish club. And what we talked about tonight goes a long way when you think about all the benefits that you can receive from being a member of a fish club, a local fish club. And if you're not local to any, come join us at Peel Regional Aquarium Club. That's Peel, P-E-E-L peelaquariumclub.ca. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone, and super thanks to the super chatters, and I appreciate it all. But most of all, please, everyone, be safe out there and keep it real.